And as the year ended, KCB's books for 2003 indicated that the bank had emerged from the woods to post a pre-tax profit of 750 million Kenya shillings, a sign that investors had recovered confidence in the bank.
There was a lot of skepticism from multilateral organizations like the World Bank that this rights issue would not fly. But all of the feedback that I was getting from the investor community was that they were hungry for KCB shares, and that if we went out with a rights issue, it would do well, and it did very well.
Following the rights issue, the government stake in the bank was whittled down from 35% to 26.2%.
Trying to raise funds of that nature, we hoped to raise over 2 billion shillings at a time when the economy was still not very stable, and there were doubts as to whether the bank would be able to raise that kind of capital, and yet we had to go into it because it was necessary to raise the money. Thank goodness we did raise the necessary capital, and the issuers subscribed well, in spite of the fact that the government for the first time did not take up its rights.
With this renewed confidence, KCB in August 2005 entered into a money transfer partnership with Western Union that allowed the bank to offer the latter's service between Kenya and in 220 countries in which Western Union operated. In yet another move to shed off its old image, KCB in September 2005 rebranded its mortgage subsidiary Savings and Loan Kenya Limited as S&L, so as to give it an edge over competitors. The 2005 audited results released in February 2006 would confirm the obvious. KCB had managed to beat the odds and survive. The bank had made an impressive pre-tax profit of nearly 2 billion shillings, up from 920 million in 2004. That represented an inspiring 111% growth. And the bank's non-performing debt had reduced by 7.4 billion shillings to end the year at 13.4 billion. It now seemed that the nightmare days were over as the bank entered the last phase of the 3-year strategic plan that commenced in 2003. To consolidate this growth, KCB announced that it was opening new outlets in Rumbek and Juba in South Sudan. KCB Sudan was registered in November 2005 and licensed in May 2006. KCB's branches in South Sudan would eventually rise to 19. This was in addition to branches that the bank had opened in other East African countries, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda and Burundi, making it the largest commercial bank in the East African region. Davidson left the bank in March 2007. In his place, the board appointed KCB's Deputy Managing Director, Martin Oduor-Otieno, as the new chief executive for the next 4 years. When, on the evening of April 30th, 2007, Davidson bade farewell to the bank staff, he had the satisfaction of having presided over the most dramatic banking sector turnaround in Kenya's history. Oduor-Otieno had joined the bank in October 2003 from Barclays Bank, where he had worked for 13 years. Oduor-Otieno came on board at a time when KCB's competitors had started injecting additional funding to boost their ability to compete. In August 2007, one of the new services he launched so as to cope with the competition was the KCB Advantage, an exclusive personal banking services that targeted top businessmen and companies. And as he settled in, Oduor-Otieno also took the bank into the Ugandan market, where it had finally received a license and where it would be listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange. In November 2008, KCB made a nostalgic return to Zanzibar, where the bank's predecessor, National Bank of India had started its grand march into Africa back in 1890. It also announced its plans to list its shares in Rwanda, making the bank the first Kenyan company to cross-list in that country's nascent stock market. That November, KCB would dislodge Standard Chartered from second position among Kenyan banks, having managed to reduce its bad loans to 2.2 billion Kenya shillings from 25 billion in 2002. For the 9-month period to September that year, the bank reported a 64% growth in pre-tax profit to top 5.2 billion Kenya shillings, up from 3.2 billion in the corresponding period of 2007.